Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Future State Fool's Gold review. And this time I'll be covering Aquaman Issue 2 and Suicide Squad Issue 2, which also has an additional story in it. As you can see to the left hand side, this is how I rate things in the system in Fool's Gold, and to the left hand side you can also see the currency conversion to which I paid for both of these comics. For the first one, $3.99 being $7.15, of course I'll point out how much I think the cover art and story are worth for each of these stories. So let's get to it. Starting off with Aquaman. Did this cover in any way help with the shaping of the story? You bloody bet it did. And you know what? I'm really impressed because the way this cover worked with the story, I enjoyed. And it also showed, of course, the risks that were being taken place within the story. I'll cover the rating and how much I think it's worth after I show you the internal art. Starting off with art around the beginning. Now this is some of the art around the beginning, which is absolutely beautiful. I really believe that this was a really good team up with both writer and artist for this Future State story. Let's move to some art towards the middle. This is some of the art around the middle. Really enjoy some of these panels here because they really stand out. And for what I rate the cover and also the art, you'll be surprised. Time to move for the art towards the end. And finally the art towards the end. I really liked this. I really enjoyed this. And this is why I gave both the art and the cover 7 out of 10, to which I believe both are worth $1.50, which was really, really nice. But how does it go in regards to the story? Of course, as you know, I really enjoy seeing certain things within the story, but because this is Future State, it's sort of cut down a bit. So, for the location, we get a deep sea prison, which is in Neptune, and also we get the characters of Jackson Hyde, who is Aquaman, and the daughter of Mira and Arthur, who is presently called Aqualas, but she really earns the title in this for Aquawoman. One thing that really stood out in this issue was you getting to see a bigger backstory around Aquawoman's character, or Aqualas's character. And you see that she, in the events that you see, is some of the lessons that she's been taught by Jackson Hyde Aquaman, and how it was applying for her, going out of her way to save Aquaman. And it just really shone in this story, to which I gave the story a 7.5 out of 10, to which it deserves. To which I believe the story is worth $1.75, giving an overall total of $4.75. Well done to Thomas, Sampier and Lucas on this. I would like to see more from you. Now it's time to move on to the Suicide Squad one. And this story has probably made up a little bit more than half of what it's actually worth. So thank you very much. Now moving into the Suicide Squad. Now, I got to point this out. This also has a secondary story in it. In case this video takes a little bit longer than expected. And for its currency conversion rate, it's $12.55. Let's see if it can make up at least half of this. Though I sort of doubt it right now. Starting off with the cover. Does the cover really work with what happens within the story? Surprisingly, it does. And I'm not going to give its total as of yet, because I want to show the internal art. To which we'll begin that right now. This is some of the art around the beginning of the story. I'll now move towards the middle. This is some of the art towards the middle. I'll now go towards the end. And this is some of the art towards the end. Now, if it's one thing that I really enjoyed with this art, is how it actually brought out the characters, as well as on the cover as well. And that is something that I really enjoyed. To which I gave both the cover a 6 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth $1.25, and the internal art a 6 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth $1.25. But what about the story? How does the story help? And what rating did it get? Well, the only location that we got was Earth. Thompson, you suck. And I mean, you suck in your storytelling. Your storytelling has the potential, especially with the way you script this, to be really good storytelling. Right? I do not hate you. That is the first thing I want to bring across. Because even though I think you'd probably be good for Suicide Squad, you really need to capture the characters heaps better and their voices, and you do a very slack job of it. Adam Glass as well. But we're not speaking about Adam Glass, we're speaking about your work. One thing that I found that also lacked in the last issue was locations. Locations help build up the story to where things are taking place. If you cannot point that out in the story, the only place this story belongs is in the Shredder. Right, I know you pointed out only one place in the last issue, and that was the Pentagon. But I'm sure that there's more than just the Pentagon in DC Comics. So this is where, in this part, the story absolutely fails. But I will bring out one thing that you did do well. And that was pointing out some of the cast of characters. But I'm sorry to say with this, because you sort of didn't give a strong indication of the location, it also affected the score. Of course, we got Connor Kent, who is the Superman in this Suicide Squad, or the super character in the Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller, Lord Zod, which I thought was really nice. I enjoyed his appearance and costume. Mirror Master, Cheetah, Evil Star, I think it is. There was even a Parademon, which I thought was really clever. I did like that. And Peacemaker. And for the overall story, I gave you a 0 out of 10. I'm sorry to say. You had the potential to make it good, but you absolutely failed. I think if you're going to do Suicide Squad stories, that you do them in the Elseworld first until you actually capture their voices. That would be my recommendation for you. Because I can't recommend any comics that you've written. As much as I'd like to do it on Fool's Gold, I've got nothing of yours that I can recommend. You might even want to try your hand at some indie comics. Well, now that I'm finished here, it's time to move on to the next story. Now it's time to move on to the second story. So let's start off with some of the art around the beginning of it. To which this story is around Black Adam. Alright, this is some of the art around the beginning. And you know what? This writer knows what the fuck he's doing. He points out location, where the fuck we are, straight away. And yeah, I'm being blunt. I'm being open about how I feel about this. This is some of the art around the middle. And finally some of the art around the end. Now, the art in this I really enjoyed, to which I gave a 7 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth $1.50. As for the story, jumping right into the story, I must admit, the writer knew what the hell they were doing in this. And as you can see, no pun intended, a comic version of a DC hell. Some of the locations, we've got Planet Kandak, Vanishing Point, the Speed Force War, Tower of Fate, Skyland, How, of course, and New Genesis. With the cast of characters, they did really well in bringing like a Booster Gold family. Of course, Black Adam, the Phantom Stranger, the Quintessence, and even Resurrection Man. And as you can also see here in this picture, it appears that we might even have Etrigan, a character that I did not record down. I really enjoyed this, and I enjoyed the journey with these characters. It really brought across a sense that this writer knew what they were doing. They did their research, and I enjoy writers that do their research. Even in, like, capturing some of the characteristics of the characters. The writer did this, to which I gave the story a 7 out of 10, to which gives the first story a total of $2.50, and the second story $3. My goodness, since when has the backstory been better than the first story? Some make it exceptionally, but only because of some default things like covers. But in regards to this, I really enjoyed what was done here. And I really want to thank the writer and the crew that worked on it. Well, that's all for now. So please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you really enjoyed the content, please don't forget to leave a comment in the comments section, because I'd like to hear your thoughts of what you thought of some of the future state titles. Did you like them? Did you hate them? What was your favorite? What wasn't your favorite? Until then, let's keep it colorful. And yes, I did have some colorful language earlier. So please expect that in the future. Until then, you are awesome, and have an awesome day. Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Future State Fool's Gold review, and this time we're covering the last of this week, covering week 8, and that is Superman House of Al. So before we start, let's look at the cover. Does the cover in any way help in summation of what happens within the story? Surprisingly, yes it does. So before we move on to the rating for the art, including how much I think it's worth or for the cover, let's move into the internal art, starting at the beginning. Now this is some of the art at the beginning, which is really nice. I'll now move towards the middle. I must say the consistency of this art was really good, and it came out with an okay story in it as well. So, time to move towards the end. I must admit the consistency in this was really good, to which I'll now give the rating for the cover and the internal art. Now, just a quick look in regards to the currency conversion, which is $5.99, and that converted over to Australian dollars is $10.75. How much of it does it make back? So for the cover, what rating did I give it, and how much do I think it's worth? For the cover, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think the artist did a really good job in trying to encompass every character that was going to make an appearance in this, and it really did come across quite well, including a bit of the spoiler towards the end, which was really, really good. To which I gave the cover 7 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth $1.50. Surprisingly, it didn't get an 8, but I can gather that the artist did what they could with what they had. Now, moving into the internal art, I also gave it 7 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth $1.50. But what about the story? The important thing. As you know, that I enjoy certain things within my storytelling, and for the future state I've just broken it down to 2 areas, and that is location and cast of characters. And seeing that this addresses the House of Al, which is in technicality the house of the lineage of Superman, sort of like where Superman's lineage gets spread throughout the galaxy. But in this case, is this who we think it is, or is it actually someone else? Of course, in the location, we get Earth's moon and New Genesis, which was really good, but I really feel that Philip K. Johnson could have improved by adding additional locations, even by indicating more clearly as to where some of these characters were coming from. Yes, they were mentioned, but it probably wouldn't hurt to sort of like show it in straight view. The cast of characters, we end up meeting like a new cast of characters such as Brandon Kent. We did end up seeing Black Racer in this, which I found was interesting, and also all of the families, or all of the characters that make up the House of Al, and you get to see how far the House of Al has spread its seed in this, or spread the oats. In some essence, it really did add to the character around Superman. But I think if it was going to happen in DC Comics, maybe leave it for Superman, Clark Kent's son, or even John's son to be the one to spread the oats to the the outer parts of the DC universe, whether it's in Themyscira, Mongol, the world of Mongol. The list continues. So how did this affect the story? At the moment, the present total is $3. So, what rating did I give the story? I gave the story 5 out of 10. It felt a little bit mediocre in some parts, but I really enjoyed the art. The art was the big winner in this. Nothing more, nothing less. To which I believe the story is worth about $1, giving an overall total of $4. Well, that's all for today for DC Future State Fool's Gold reviews. So please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Until then, let's keep it colourful. If you've now made it towards the end of the video, have yourself an awesome day.